Wherever you want, though. You don't have to.
There's a bunch of people who came up to us on our booth earlier, and they're like, "I'm gonna be at the panel," and I don't see a single one of them here.
Maybe they're coming in a minute. All the panels like run right on top of each other.
The reason why is that the karaoke thing is running a little long.
Okay.
No worries. I like little cozy panels.
Yeah.
So what panel is this?
This is the FRANXX.
Oh, right.
That's why 3 of us are here.
So so we love Darling, and I love Darling.
And I love Donald.
But we could actually kind of run this as a Q&A since there's so few people here. So if you have any questions about the show or comments about the show, or any questions about voice acting or directing in general, I know both of us are directors.
I've directed a couple of times.
Both of us are directors.
And Matt is 2.
I do the writing.
You write?
Yeah, I do a lot of ADR script writing.
Oh my gosh. For funny or just
For funny, yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know why I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Did you, I'm trying to remember.
She was a new game. You wrote all.
Oh yeah, I wrote all New Game.
Oh, that's so good. Great job.
Thank you.
Writing for anime is a job I wouldn't wish on anyone. It's very difficult.
It's fun. I mean, directing's difficult too, so.
You wrote, I remember you picked up non-baka when Aaron was like,
Yes,
this is
yes.
too hard.
Oh my gosh, there's a few. I wrote an entire show that I directed. So the same season, I was writing during the day and directing at night, and that was like never again.
Yeah, I know Aaron. I've done that. I know Aaron did that for non-baka and Sugumomo, and he was like,
It's the word.
Every hour of your waking life is
you
just
live.
the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's almost as bad as, I direct a show right now called The Morose Mononoke, and Tia played an adorable bird, and it came out today.
Oh yeah.
And Aaron Nismuke not only writes the show now, but he also plays the main character. So the amount of hours spent living Mononokean is a lot.
I always say that I feel like I missed out on meeting my soulmate because I was knee deep in Kiss Him Not Me. It's like waking up, dreaming of the characters because you're always with them. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Anyway,
hi. If you have any questions or comments, please. What's up?
Okay, so you guys wrote and directed. Do you get a feeling before the thing releases that it's going to be a giant hit or it's just going to be kind of mediocre? Can you feel that coming sometimes, or is it just a surprise every time?
That's a great question.
I think it depends. A lot of I mean, the way that stuff works, at least at Funimation now, is everything's a simul-dub, so shows will come out, like, episode 1 airs, and then, like, 2 days later, we're recording it already. The same day, the writer's writing it, so it's all very quick. So we don't necessarily get to see.
We were doing it before it's even come out in Japan.
Yeah, that show airs at the same time in English and Japanese. So it's not like anymore we get to see like a whole show come out and then we see how people liked it in Japanese and then we go, it's huge, get ready. But then there are other shows like, for example, My Hero Academia, there was a huge push for that. Everyone knew that was going to be big because the manga was so big already. So I think it's a toss-up sometimes.
Sometimes you don't, and it's hard to tell with simul-dubs because it comes out so quickly. That time I got reincarnated as a slime, I feel like we were working on it and then all of a sudden I just keep seeing people online talking about it and like seeing all the merch in Japan and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a big show. My character that I play in Slime just finally showed up for realsies recently, and I was like, oh, I guess I should post about it, and I post on Twitter about it, and like, either like go through the rest of my day, like direct Jason Liebricht for 7 hours, and look at my phone again. I'm like, whoa, a lot of people like Slime. And just sometimes you're just like, oh right, that's the thing people are watching, and then it's really cool. I saw you had the Slime print, the Sheena print.
Yeah.
Someone came to my booth with a shirt that said "Good Slife"
Good
on
Slife,
it.
yeah.
Oh my
Which
god!
is a dub line,
Which is
great.
it's right out of the dub. So it's really cool because sometimes you don't realize until like you kind of see everyone at the conventions and you're like, oh, people like this stuff. Like people are loving Slime or loving Darling. So that's always exciting. Because like there's a bit of a disconnect sometimes you don't realize how much people are enjoying it because you're just so busy, like you said, living the show all the time.
That's why we love coming to cons. It's like, oh, this is not just me talking to myself in a closet. Like, people actually, you're real people, and you like the thing. Hey, cool. I never know what's popular. I never pay attention. I'm terrible. I fall in love with the things I fall in love with, and then I ignore everything else. So if
That's a good way to be, though.
Yeah,
honestly.
if I didn't walk into Hot Topic yesterday, I would have no idea that My Hero was so popular. It's like, oh, all right.
There are a lot of My Hero cosplayers here.
Yeah.
Yes, there are.
And I guess to loop it back to the topic of the panel, like FRANXX, for example, people were like, oh, we're interested in what this is going to be because it was a collaboration with Trigger, which is a studio people really like, and A1 Pictures, which can be hit or miss as far as I understand. And then episode 1 came out and people were like, whoa, this is something special. So sometimes you can feel it really early on, and sometimes it's like a slow burn, like Slime, where we were like, oh, this is really good, but now it's just like everyone loves it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is really good, and then you come back a little bit later, like you did. Oh God!
Yeah. Sorry, there was a Venom and a Carnage looking at us. Out there, we're going out.
I remember with Darling in the FRANXX too, it came out and the director, Clifford Chapman, knew he had the show, and we were hanging out the day that first episode came out in Japanese, and he was just gushing about how much he loved it, and like oh, the symbolism and like the callbacks to Evangelion. He was so passionate about it. He's like, oh, I need to get like a really good cast together. And I remember like a few days later, he's like, oh, so on my way home, I called up Tia and I was asking if she's okay being in the show, and like a picture of the show, and like she's on board, I think. So like, oh, it's gonna be so great. And, like,
It's very rare that I don't want this lead role.
yeah, right.
I was in a car. I was going to lunch with Clifford Chapman, the director, and he just turns to me and he's like, "So you ready to be Hiro?" And I'm like in your show? What?
yeah.
And then he just told me the whole cast. I'm like, yes, everyone's great.
Yeah.
I guess I'll do it.
I had just finished like a month beforehand directing a show called I Know Kusabi, and we brought up Bryson Bogus for that to play one of the characters. And it was just like kind of his first thing up in the Dallas area.
He lives in Houston, works with Sentai Filmworks a lot.
And I remember Cliff being like, hey, do you have Bryson's contact? And I was like, I don't know, buddy, what are you doing? He's like, we'll put him on a show. And that was his, Mitsu was his first Funimation thing. And he was really excited about it. And he came up every week and would hang out with us. And go to lunch. And yeah, I know that he was super excited about it. And it was really cool that Mitsu ended up being like such an interesting character. Like, because you kind of see him in the first episode, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna be the snobby one of the bunch. Like, we're not gonna like him. And like, he just has like a really good character arc, in my opinion.
I agree.
Is Darling a big show?
Yeah.
I feel like,
people like it.
I should know that.
Probably.
Alright.
I'll tell you when you get big. You get big when Javi the Hong starts doing reviews on the figures.
Did that happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
All right, cool.
Like 3 times, and he's
Wait, what's his
terrible
name?
release schedule.
Jobby the Hong?
Javi
Is
the
that like
Hong.
Pizza the Hut?
Yes.
He's about as crass.
I remember going to A-Kon last year to just like kind of walk around, and was that the one we did the panel with Michelle Rojas?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we were looking around the artist alley, and every single vendor had 02 printers.
I'm noticing a lot of 02 prints.
Yeah.
Not a lot of anyone else. Every once in a while there will be me, and every once in a while there will be her. No one else.
I like when they have like the Chubahito, like, I'm picking.
Yeah. It does happen periodically, but.
Yeah, there's that one Iron Pinky print that I bought that has Hiro and 02.
Oh, yeah. It's
That we
great.
had
Where 02's like sitting in the cockpit and Hiro's like draped in her arms, right?
Yeah, and he does a lot of awesome art. He's like one of the udon artists who does like Street Fighter art and stuff like that. So when I was at a con and I saw that he did that, I'm like, I'm buying that. I bought that. That's the same con that Rico pitched him drawing a Mirio print. And
but
like
before he was supposed to talk
before he
about
was,
that
yeah. He's like, so what are the deets on that? And then now Rico has this awesome Mirio print by Iron Pinky. So yeah, I feel like when you see like high profile artists doing fan art of your characters, you know that they're popular characters.
Yeah. Remember when all that controversy happened, like on Twitter with your character?
Oh yeah, I do.
Shows how much.
People were really upset about that.
Weird.
Because so many people were
until-
watching and really cared about it.
Yeah, it wasn't until recently that I actually have used GIFs from that episode because of all the
Was it
controversy.
pretty scary for you, or?
I didn't get as much hate as the Seiyu because like by the time our episode came out, you saw like 2 more episodes in the Japanese, so you kind of knew where they were going with it. But like at first I was like, oh no. And my friend in Japan, he was the animation director for that episode.
Oh, cool.
So like, I met him through doing another project, and he told me he was on board for FRANXX, and like he posted it on his Facebook and stuff. I was like, oh my god, I play a character in this, and he was excited that I played Ichigo, and I didn't know why. And
Because he's animated.
because he animated her big episode, or was the director for that.
That is so cool.
And it's a
Yeah.
really well animated episode too. There's a lot of like subtleties in the body language and stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool, but I think because of his, after the backlash happened about that episode, like you didn't really see him posting at all
Yeah.
online. I imagine he probably got some hate for it, which is unfortunate.
For people to check out about the storyline.
Yeah.
And then literally the following
Really
week they're like, oh, okay, never mind. Wait a week.
Yeah.
Just wait a week
I've never
before you
seen
start
that
killing
show.
people. I know.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, I've gotten to concert before and I put a little whiteboard and I wrote Ichigo did nothing wrong and I let people vote.
Okay, yes or no.
And like there have been a lot of hate that I got at cons. I hate Ichigo. Nothing gets you, I hate Ichigo. Like
At least they say that qualifier, nothing
Yeah.
against you, but still.
there was one group of teenage boys who came over and all voted that she was a bad. And like they were like didn't say a word to me. I was like, all right.
You guys have any questions, comments, concerns? Perhaps? No.
Where's season 2?
I would love there to be one. I feel like the story concluded in a way that there doesn't need to be one,
Yeah.
but you know, they can always just say, actually,
I heard that manga is going in a different direction for the ending. And I
yeah.
would
They've already
love-
done a lot of different things in the manga. I haven't read it, but I've seen like images and I'm like, that didn't happen.
I would
Yeah.
love to see like a movie version with like the manga's timeline of events.
Because they've done that for some shows before.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood style thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many shows get a remake like Brotherhood. I know like since that's happened, everyone's like, oh, do that for Soul Eater and do that for this show. Hunter got that, you're right. You're right.
Right. Go grab Fruits Basket.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's way later, but.
I actually have a question I want to hear too. Back on Multiverse, we talked before mentioned about hoping that there will be a resort in season 3. So, what's your opinion?
I'm always down to play Mizade again. She's one of my favorites. She was the first role I got with a deeper voice. Before that, I only played little kids and animals. So when I got cast to play her, a bit more serious, it was like, oh, I get to be a grown-up. And a fun fact, you know, she talks with her lollipop in her mouth. Well, we tried that. I bought a whole bag of lollipops and tried to record with them, but they kept clicking against my teeth. So, who could have foreseen that? So when I play Mizade, I put my fingers under my lips like this.
There's weird little techniques like that. I remember anytime it was Gossick, I think, my character got beat up. I just started had a swollen cheek, and so it was like, pinch your cheek, and I'm like, for like the rest of the episode? All right. So I speak like this the whole time, you know, it just sounds a little swollen. Hurts, I don't like doing that.
You guys should go home and rewrite Boris.
No, because we got past it, but.
I love your cosplay, by the way. That's a great hot pink.
We made it by ourselves.
Wow, it's really accurate too. I know. I said to you before, I hadn't seen the show, but I've seen the character.
Thank you. It's supposed to be Ichigo's plug suit. So
Oh, that's cute. It looks so warm.
it is. I was really cold yesterday in here, so I'm glad I brought this. I wore it. I got it, and I wore it for Halloween and to your party. That's what I wore.
Oh yeah.
This for, and I was like, I'm gonna wear this to cons.
Yeah,
It's comfy.
super cute.
Super cute and comfy.
So are there any characters that y'all just kind of got thrown into that happen to be, oh wait, this is really cool?
I mean,
Or
a lot.
now
Yeah.
that
I mean-
simuldubs are the thing, that's like every character. We
It's-
don't
I
audition
think
for them.
slime just means like, it's like the perfect, hey, we really can like get along with each other type of, like you can have a nation of people that are all different.
Oh, it's
Slime?
Get along,
Yeah.
yeah, slime.
Yeah.
So that's, it's got its huge push.
And
Like everybody wants that.
in a lot of simuldubs now, because there's such a quick turnaround, you just don't have the time to do auditions, honestly. So directors are like, all right, who can I trust to do this type of role or this type of role, or okay, this part is different for this person, but maybe it's not huge, so I'm not taking a huge risk, so I'll try them out. The next time they know they can do it, or something like that. There's a lot less auditions lately.
It's kind of a bummer.
It is a bummer,
Yeah.
because I feel like it makes it more likely for us to get typecast. Like you auditioned for Hajime in New Game,
Right.
and you booked that, and that was
Different.
different, and it's
Right.
great, and it sounds awesome. But
And people, their skills change and grow over time.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I had a director that I worked with for 10 years ask me, can you play a high school girl? It's like, this is anime world. What do you mean? I've played many, but he's only ever heard me as Happy the Cat. So he didn't know. And it's like, how could we, what?
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And that's kind of what happens if we don't get to audition.
yeah, seriously. So, but I mean, there have been some instances where auditions have snuck their way through if they have like an extra bit of time for a simuldub. But
we did
and so like
auditions
most of the characters you've seen us as lately, we've probably just been like called in for, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
Can
thrown
we
in.
just like start leaving numbers of random people at Funimation? Hey, just call me and we'll figure this out.
We did auditions for Rose Mononoke in season 2's new characters, and I ended up casting Zach Bolton, one of our producers, who like you never see in shows anymore. When was the last time you've seen Zach in a show? And like I didn't even originally call him into audition. When we were doing auditions, I was like, man, no one's really hit what I heard, and I hear him come in hurriedly to the lobby, talking about something to our production assistant Sally, and I was like, Zach's gonna be this character. So I got him an audition last minute, and it was like, that's it, it's Zach. But like because like you only get to audition like out like I don't know. When was the last time I auditioned for a show at Funimation? Like for you guys?
My Hero, maybe?
Yeah, I didn't read for.
Was that my last one too?
Goblin Slayer was my last one.
Oh no, Goblin Slayer was my last one too. Yeah. It's just sometimes.
Yeah, but like, and even when there were auditions, like you said, My Hero, like not everyone gets to read for it when you have it because we have such short deadlines. So like, it's like the director picks like 15 people they want to hear, 20 people they want to hear, depending on how our slots are divvied up.
And a lot of the time, you only really get to meet people when they direct you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you could cross paths but not know them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just like auditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all do.
So since we've got the slime here, can we just audition for slime?
Well, I don't think there's been any auditions for that
Slime,
show,
yeah,
right?
Slime didn't have auditions.
It's too quick.
Yeah.
Are you gonna fly out to Texas to be in Slime?
I will, though.
Every week?
Every week.
It'll cost you more to get there.
Yeah.
than you'll get paid.
Yeah, I mean, like just thinking about slime though, like I've gotten a few hours lately because my character has gotten like focused, but like there's a bunch of people like Gopta, for example, would come in for like 15 minutes every week to do his like 3 lines. Then like, yeah, because Slime is such an ensemble cast, like there's times where it's like, wow, Shuna shows up, you're gonna have 1 smile reaction.
Right.
And that's like kind of like so many shows. Like you come in every week to do like one little tiny bit. So.
But we get paid.
But yeah, we get paid. But like because of simultaneous, like it's very different. Like you have to be available every week to come in and do the thing. I remember you and Felicia were in England recently, and like something came up, and like someone was like, "Oh no, but Felicia and Tia are gone," and they like had to check the schedule. And, oh, they'll be back in time for whatever it was. Oh, goodness. And like it was like you guys are gone for like 4 days.
I don't feel like I don't get paid enough for them to fret that much. Like, I should be leveraging this. Do you guys watch simuldubs? Like the?
Yes.
Yeah? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any favorites right now? Any slime?
The quintuplets, red-haired girls.
Oh,
I've been
yay!
watching that now. Like I'm caught up. I love that series.
Nice! It's really
I'm
fun.
surprised you're the main character of like one of the quintuplets right now. Like, it's like, no, I'm doing my own homework.
Yeah, that's right. I don't need a tutor.
You need to.
It's interesting with simuldubs because, so we're working on them every week. So just like she said, going on a vacation, or in my case, going to England for a work, it was like, oh no, what are we gonna do? You're gonna be gone for 4 days. Ah, the place is burning down. We had an actor that got married 2 years ago and still hasn't had a honeymoon because every week, you know, he's gotta be at work. That's Josh Greeley, by the way.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I mean, and it really goes to so many cons too. And I've like been there when directors have been like, oh, we're really not gonna make it in time, but I can't do the place really on it. It's like everything is falling apart. I had right before going to the airport, I had to run to Funimation, do 2 hours for a certain magical index before we get back because it's gonna be done by the time we're back in town. So it's crazy.
Worst case scenario, because you know we're not allowed to get sick or anything, but worst case scenario, say we do get sick and we lose our voices, it's not the end of the world. We do get a stunt actor, so they find whoever sounds like us the most, they play the character for that episode, and then when it comes out for DVD, we redub it with the original actor.
That just happened in Morose Mononoke, and Rial got really sick, and so Sarah Wiedenheft came in and filled in for her bird.
Luckily, it's just bird noises.
It's just bird noises.
It's a little less noticeable.
Yeah, it wasn't as noticeable, but and that happened recently with Meiji Tokyo Renkai. I remember Ian was like sick, and so Justin Briner had to fill in. And sometimes it's like not what you imagine would be your villain actor, but it's like it works.
The original actor's like, okay, that's the person I have to kill.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, I like don't want it to happen because I'm like, I don't want to know who you think sounds like me.
Right?
I hear that enough.
Howard Wayne.
Did you say Howard Wayne?
He told me that earlier, and that's the first time I've heard Howard. I've heard like 6 other people. So.
I would replace you with Cliff personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. He's my friend. I feel okay with that. I like Howard too. That's fine.
I don't even think you and Cliff sound all that different, but sound all that similar. But like because, and I did this for, there was a character, I said this to someone earlier, one time I needed someone to fill in for Alejandro, and I picked Howard because Howard and Alejandro are friends. I know Howard can imitate the way Alejandro speaks.
Right.
And he did a very good
similar.
job. My favorite thing was that his like cue line was like, "Hey everybody, it's Kagi Films here." Like, I'm like, there you go, you're in the voice. But like, yeah, because you and Cliff know each other so well, it's like, oh yeah, just do it. Do your best impression of your friend.
That's what we did for Junie Tyson. I did my Cliff impression, he did his Matt impression, so we met somewhere in the middle. So we could be twins.
How are you doing on time?
About half an hour.
Oh, sweet.
Got any Darling and Frank's questions?
Yeah, let's say that takes priority first. But if not, then
For Darling and Frank's panel, I haven't said too much about Darling.
What is it? I can hear you talking. You're in the front row.
Me to ask the questions.
have your gun ask the questions. I know it has a face in some episodes.
How old are you? 11. So you're in, are you in 6th grade?
I keep hearing Sonic the Hedgehog around the
I
corner.
know.
The
Sonic.
ring.
Well, the day room is like right there.
Yeah, I thought I saw that.
Okay, so she wants to know if Ichigo is really like totally dead, 0 2.
Oh yeah, of course. Whenever Matt's asked who's your favorite character in Darling in the Franxx, I look at him.
Well, but it's specifically who do you like better, Ichigo or Zero Two? And I'm like,
That's jacked up.
I'm married to Ichigo's actress. But this is my answer. It's I say that, and then I'm like, within the context of the story, I respect that Hiro loves Zero Two, and I can see why. But when I think about like in real life, who would I want to be in a relationship with? Zero Two's a little maybe unstable in half of the series, so like maybe I would go with Ichigo, you know? So there's some positives and negatives on both sides. So it's hard to come up with a real answer.
That was a good question. Thanks for not asking it. What else you guys got? We can start asking you questions.
You can ask us.
All right, what are you watching right now? It doesn't have to be anime, just in general.
We're playing a number game.
No, not on your phone and live.
Oh, what are we watching?
Yeah.
We still enjoy Rosario.
What? Really?
Rewatch.
How many times have you seen the series? Probably.
For first time watching the series, my third time.
Wow, that's awesome.
I even have the video games and I even have the collection of stuff, including DVD and everything.
Yes. I used to be that way for Shaman King. Shaman King. Yeah. Manta or Morty. If you watch the Morty. Like he was my first like anime crush, and you can still go on livejournal.com and find my live journal from when I was like 16, 17, and we're married. We're like 100%
It's
all on there still.
I did so many Shaman King roleplay websites when I was like 13 years old.
Oh my gosh, I bet we roleplayed together.
That would be wonderful.
I had a roleplay journal of, I was a Faust's wife, Eliza.
I love Faust was one of my favorite characters.
I was on that Trey Racer. What's wrong with you?
Trey Racer was one of the. I roleplayed as Trey Racer at one point. When I was 12 years old.
This is Japanese name.
Yeah. That's like one of my dream shows to get another series.
Yeah, I feel like
if we like do a prayer circle, maybe we can summon it.
Yeah.
We should try it.
Here's the thing though. This is the sucky thing. Like if you have a passion like that, like somebody on Unlocked was asking me if I wanted Sonic X to have her be whatever, because I love Sonic. It's yes, but if I'm not in it, I have to suffer that heartbreak.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. I know. We're all thinking, who would I be in Shaman King? You know?
Yeah.
Trey Racer.
Trey Racer. Only if they still call him Trey Racer. I'm not interested otherwise.
I could probably sit down and come up with an entire Dreamcast right now, and I should not.
No, let's not do that.
I was also obsessed with Ren.
Yeah.
See that?
That's
Len?
one of my top.
A lot of
I don't
girls
know what they did.
put him with
What's his name? It was Len.
It was Len.
Yeah.
What was Choco Love's?
Chocolove. They kept it.
They kept that?
Yeah, they kept Chocolove. I've worked with that company because they do video now, and it's so great. I love them. I love all the people that work there. Some of the choices they made for those for the localization can be a little puzzling.
You love Choco Love, alright. Yeah, Shaman King felt like mostly filler.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way?
Yeah,
I
the show
did.
especially.
Like I love when characters are like home and having fun at home, and then they went on this big adventure, and it's like, well, Morty's back home. My favorite character. I don't get to see him anymore.
I felt like that was a show that started out, and they're like, check it out, Manta's the main character, and then it's just like, no, it's
Bait and
Yo.
switch.
It's definitely Yo.
Yeah.
I was always bugged by how Yo's headphones were behind his ears. I can't imagine those actually sitting on someone's head.
I love Yo. I'm so good.
I dressed up as Anna for Halloween one year.
I remember that.
Yeah.
We talked about this before.
Yeah. It's coming back. When I was in 5th grade, we had an assignment to make a board game based off a book we read, and I made a Shaman King board game.
That's awesome.
It was pretty rad.
Pretty cool.
So thanks for coming to our Shaman King. Guys, any other questions, comments?
Anyone else watching some cool stuff right now?
Yeah, we're watching.
Fairy Tale.
Yeah.
Will Happy,
We're starting.
will Happy and Carla be together? Cause that's a cute ass couple.
I mean, I've been waiting for it.
Since Happy gave a
Since
kid.
I got cast as Happy, I've wanted him to have kittens.
Yeah.
I've been waiting.
Tell Carla that you love her so much. Tell
The
Carla.
voice actress for Carla, I don't know if she's trolling me or not, but she said she ships Carla and Panther Lily. I'm like,
I like Panther Lily too, but, yeah.
But it's so sad, Fairy Tail's ending soon, though. Last season, you're doing the last season.
I know, but who knows how long this season will be, though?
And there's the spin-off 100 Year.
Yeah, 100 Year Quest.
That Happy's in.
It's honestly, 100 Year Quest, as far as I understand, is just kind of a continuation. They're like, this is the end of Fairy Tail. But here's more Fairy Tail.
In space.
It's barely, yeah, Boruto or whatever.
Yeah.
But at least that focuses on different characters. Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest is still that Natsu and Lucy and Happy.
Talk about like stuff you got into way back. I've never seen Naruto, but I love is it Gaara or Gaara? Do you tap the R?
In the dub they say Gaara.
Okay, I love him. So when I found out he wasn't married in the new one, I was like, good. Like to this day, it's like, all right. Yes.
I love Liam O'Brien in that role. He's so husky sounding, and he's like, the character's like 11 when you first see him. He's like, I'm God of the Sea. I think he rolls his R the first time, and then everyone else doesn't roll the R. They do that.
Thank you for coming to our fandom panel.
Yeah. Now we're just nerding out.
I love it.
So y'all like nerd out like the sword art people, like all these other.
I've never watched Sword Art.
I've watched.
I couldn't get it.
I've watched all Sword Art, well, season 1 and 2, and I really liked season 1. I didn't love the way season 1 ended, the second half of it. And then I watched all of the second season, and I was like, oh, this is way cooler as like just a kind of mystery show, and all at once, so I can consume it all. And I've heard that GGO is really good, but I haven't seen it.
You should definitely watch the Bridge series, though. Everybody says it's actually a superior product, actually, to the original.
I tend to not agree with that when people say that, but I could check it out.
Give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Any animes that you watch on your free time besides the one you're in?
I was about to say
Yeah.
that I have gone and nerded out to Jeremy Inman about how funny Space Battleship Tiramisu is.
Oh yeah.
And like, if you have not watched
Here's a robot.
Space Battleship Tiramisu, go home and watch it. It's
So
one of the
good.
funniest shows I can think of in recent memory. And like,
Specifically dubbed, like it's funnier
specifically
dubbed, 'cause
like,
they took liberties with the script and it's
oh my
hysterical.
gosh, so funny. Like, and I've like, he calls Matt and I the biggest fans of that show, because I'm like, when I see him, I'm like, oh, new Space Battleship Tiramisu is so good, man. He's like, you guys are the only ones watching this show. I'm like, no, it's so good, it's so funny.
It's very funny.
Funny
What a
story
gem.
about that show. Jeremy Inman hates my Disney princess voice, which I find very insulting. So he's like, I'm not gonna have you do Disney princess no matter what. It's like, whatever, dude. So he cast me as the robot, who's like husky and like dangerous in the first.
Yeah.
And then she makes the switch to Disney, and it drives him nuts. And it's the best. It's so funny. You thought wrong.
Yeah, you're really funny in that show too.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything in that show is funny. So it's hard to be like, you are funny, you're funny, no, you're show.
Yeah.
I also
really kills it.
Anthony kills it. I also love
Kyle's
Inman's
great.
self-cast in it.
Yeah, Inman
He's really
I don't
funny.
even know that guy's name, but
forget
the
his
dude who gives bowling. I don't want to curse.
Sass.
Sass is the word.
Yeah, it was a good show. So yeah, we're watching that. Or we were, I think it's done now.
It just has to be.
That actually leads me into a question. Is there any line when you were working on anime, and has been quite a few, where you're just like, you couldn't help but just sit there and laugh in a booth, or you could actually compose yourself to say it?
Yeah.
I tend not to actually be laughing so much that I can't perform the line, but I have two lines that I love. One is in Basilisk, the Oka Ninja Scrolls, where my character unironically goes, "Damn you monkeys!" to a group of monkeys that are attacking or something. I don't remember really. And then the other one is I played a small character in Oculus Trip the Animation in the episode about Street Fighter V, where they had like a Capcom promo thing where they literally put Street Fighter V footage in the episode, and I was a character who was cosplaying Guile the whole time. And it's as I'm like blasting off again like Team Rocket, and I yell, I'm not gonna yell it now, but I say, "It's okay if you hate me, just please don't hate Street Fighter V." Because I'm a big Street Fighter fan, and I don't know if that's probably why Cliff put me in that role. But
There's a lot of things that Rico said in Made in Abyss when she's talking about Reg, and she talks about sticking something up his butt.
A stick
up his butt.
Because he's a robot boy, and she's like, oh, what's going on with this robot boy?
And she's like, I stuck a stick up there and I couldn't get it out. Oh, and he has a penis, but it's like a real one, not a mechanical one. And like throughout the series, she talks about his penis more times than I would have expected. She's just like an innocent little kid, and I'm just like, what am I saying? What is this? Is it an anime? Yeah. So it was silly. She's just like a little science nerd girl. And then in My Girlfriend is a Show Bitch, I did this entire episode that was like they forgot about it, so I had to come in like last minute to do like more hours of work than I did on the rest of the show for this one episode where my character and one other character do commentary and like dub over the show. And they like just say silly things and like make fun of the show and like basically do their own abridged series of the episode. And they play, and so they're in character playing the other characters. So it was super goofy, and everything I said in that episode was just like, is this real? Like, am I actually getting to say this in a product right now? So you should treat yourself to watching that. It's pretty funny.
Do you guys watch all of the? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I also pretend to be the brother, the like main character the entire time, and like a boy voice making fun of him. So it's pretty funny.
That's really cool. It's like a mystery science version.
Yeah,
of
exactly what
show.
it is.
That's cool. Do you guys watch all of the shows you're in?
not all of them.
Sometimes
maybe
like,
the bigger roles
yeah,
usually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the show.
And sometimes I'll just, if I'm like, cool, I was in like 2 seconds of this episode and I don't have time to watch the whole thing, let's see how it came out, and I'll just skip to that. I'm like,
Yeah.
good, I'm happy with that, or ooh, I could have done better, gotta learn from that.
Yeah, sometimes I really want to know how it came out at the end, and I'll check it out. But, yeah, it depends. What about you? No.
I don't. Every director is so different in their approach. Like, in the end, I don't know, I guess I have a director's eye or an artist's eye. It all sounds like a symphony of voices, right? And there's rhythms and there's ups and downs, and it just sounds like music. And if I don't hear that, it's like, ugh. I feel it in my heart. So I try not to watch it. I have so many fandoms and things that I don't have time to watch the things that I'm not passionate about.
Yeah, I feel that. There's something that's taken away from being able to watch things when I can't remove my director's hat, and I feel the same thing that you're feeling. And sometimes it frustrates me, so that it makes it hard to enjoy something.
What that says to me is that we all hold ourselves and our peers to a high standard, and I don't think that's wrong.
Oh, man.
But it is, right? Like, because really we do that too.
Yeah.
We're watching something, we're like, ooh, that probably should have been stressed differently.
Yeah.
Something, you know,
Or like,
this doesn't-
they have a different style than I do, but it's not necessarily wrong.
Right,
It's just different than I would do it, type of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I even get that sometimes watching things that I did where I'm like, oh, that's wrong. I did that wrong.
Yeah.
Like I can't let myself live it down. There's something in Mononoke today when we watched it.
I was literally about to be like, and we're not going to list examples.
I mean, it's been
But you can
bothering
say that
me
because it's your show.
Since we watched it, it just like something of the word stress, and like I was like, why did I do it that way?
Yeah.
And then like, well, sometimes there was no other way to do it. Like in the moment, the actor like couldn't do that.
That could have been your best take that you got with that
Yeah.
person.
But like, because it was like several days ago, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And like, or there was one thing I remember telling you that I like was really beating myself up about, and you watched it and you're like, it was not a problem.
Yeah, like it's fine. Like as a third party viewer, I'm like, I could see why you would want this to be like perfect. This is totally fine.
But yeah, I really beat myself up over it because I really want it to be as best as it
I
can.
just want to say, just tell you what St. Peter said last night actually is that go with your first instinct is usually the right one. And honestly, as fans,
That's a rule of life.
99% of the time, none of us notice any of that.
Yeah.
But that's where the art comes in, right?
I know.
Because we're
It
the
doesn't mean
artists.
don't try. It's just like,
I will say this, you can try to manufacture, like, I'm a kind of a control freak. So when I was writing and directed Kiss Him Not Me, I was like, okay, this is my first Like, I'm writing it and directing it, so nothing will get approved that is not absolute gold. And I know it will be right, because I don't know. And what I did was, every actor that came in was like, say it like this, no, say it like this, and I just controlled every little piece of it. Fast forward a year later, watching it on DVD, and it's like, oh, I took away them. Like, this is all Tia Ballard beats. This is all my manufactured control freak, and the flow of an actor doing an actor's thing is completely gone. And I didn't know that at the time. I thought it was like perfect. So it's interesting how you take a step back and then you look and you're like, oh, maybe I was too hands-on because they weren't having fun or whatever. I mean, we had a great time, but I can hear like that's me controlling every little peak and valley, and it sounds manufactured. Fascinating. It's a great art. It's really cool to.
You guys are getting an in-depth look at this. I feel like a lot of our peers wouldn't talk.
There's a lot
about
of
this
times
stuff.
when I have a similar thing where it's like, well, I want to try a certain read with an actor, so I suggest it, and they do it, and it's just, it sounds like me, and I'm like, hey, can you try it again, but like bring more you to it.
Yeah.
Like try and find the in-between between what I gave you and how you would do that thing.
Right.
And then when you let them do it again and like, it's like, okay, they have the suggestion from you, but they're bringing their own experience to it, it suddenly sounds so much better. And like kind of realizing, okay, well that's their version of what I gave, and I want that in it still. So trying to like find that in between it.
I think it's cool, like when you draw something, you have evidence there, like, I could do this better. 10 drawings later, see, I did it. With directing, it's kind of like, is there a thing I can point to? But you do get better as a director. Your ear gets better, you know how to communicate better, and I don't know, I think it's just an art in itself, and it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, totally.
How hard was it to transition from being an actor to being, say, a scriptwriter or a studio director?
That's a good question.
I hated script writing with a passion. I love writing, so I thought it would be the same, but it's not at all to me, because it's such a science of fitting things in the mouth flaps and everything, and it just wasn't fun for me. As far as directing, I became a better actor after I started directing. I could see bad habits that people had. I could see when someone was nervous. Like when I was doing auditions and people would come in so nervous, and these are people I've known for years, and it's like, oh, like that's what I look like when I come in nervous. And me as the director, I don't feel anything, but you're psyching yourself out. Or, holy crap, they were on their phone the whole time. That's super rude. Do I check my phone? You know, and certain techniques and things, it grew me as an actor to become a director. So the transition was an easy one because I've been acting for so long. More than anything, the difficulty came with like the juggling of all the different tasks you have to do as a director. Like when you act, you just go in and do the job and leave. So that was new, but for me, it made both of my jobs more enjoyable. What you guys?
Sure. Yeah, I've done kind of little directing. A lot of my like assistant directing credits are I was also the engineer and Brittany was the director, and I made some suggestions sometimes or something like that. But the few times that I've like just full on directed people, I agree with that. You start to notice things that actors will default to or something like that, and I really feel like being part of the process beyond just acting helps you understand everything and maybe give the benefit of the doubt a little bit more often. Like, so I write scripts a lot, but I act more than I write scripts. But if I go into a booth and I see a line and we watch the preview and I perform it and I was a little off with the timing, if I see the director go to start adding a word or something, like, well, do you want me to do it as written? I can get it longer. Like I know there is a way for me to fix that. It's not that the writer screwed up necessarily, not that that's impossible either. And it's not that the director's doing anything wrong by adding something, but like every piece of the puzzle has something they can offer, and having done all of those sides of it, I think it helps you appreciate what everyone's doing more. So I believe I also became a better actor and better at all those things just from experiencing them all.
Yeah, I agree with all the sentiments they brought up. I kind of fell into directing after being approached about directing a video game, and I was like, yeah, I could do that. And at the time, I'd only done some directing for like some college projects, and I worked really closely with the devs, and I ended up like casting and directing this entire game, and it finally came out a few months ago. It's called Y2K, a postmodern RPG, and that was my very first directing thing. And like we spent 2 weeks of like nonstop recording on it. We did like group style recording. So that's not how we do anime. Like we rarely get to record with each other in things that all of us do daily. Like they do that for prelay and like not really for games at all. I don't know if you guys have recorded with anyone in recent memory, but I can't think of the last thing I've done in the past few months that has been like a group session. And so it brings a really interesting dynamic to the project. So we did that, and I came away from that 2 weeks, and I was like, this is what I want to do. So I started trying to find more directing opportunities of how I could transition from that acting to that directing. And I started to direct for Media Blasters, and kind of just pioneered my own way through it. I shadowed other directors. It was right around the time that I started directing. It was the time that Shipman, a good friend of ours, started directing. And I remember we would talk on Skype and share like tips to each other, and it was very wholesome. Because he went to school for directing, whereas I kind of like got my training through experience and like seeing how other people directed, whether it was like me in the booth observing or like me shadowing. And I visited Funimation when I was still living in New York, and like shadowed a whole bunch of different directors, and like would do all sorts of shadowing in New York City to try and like grow my skill set to figure out like how to do the thing. Because it's not like there's like a class of anime voiceover directing that any of us could take. So I just tried to observe and bring like my own experience to it, and I love doing it. There's a lot that I learned from my actors, and there's a lot I learned as an actor from the directors I work with. As Tia said earlier, everyone kind of has their own style, their own way of doing it, and sometimes I pick things up from directors, like something that they do that I really like, or a way they communicate to the actor that I really like. And sometimes I pick things up from my actors of the way they approach copy that I'm like, whoa, that's such an interesting way of doing something. And I also feel like as a director, I'm able to grow more of my relationships with the actors I work with. So like, I feel like I've become a better person in a lot of ways from working with all these people with different backgrounds and like sharing stories about our experiences through life, which is kind of like a hidden bonus that you get from like communicating with people. You get to know people better.
And those actors are in like a vulnerable environment.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of instances, so you form bonds.
Yeah, I had like a lot of #deep talks about life experiences and traumatic experiences or goals and stuff like that with different actors I've worked with, and it's really cool because when you're in the booth, like as an actor and the engineer and the director, like there's times where you're working on really sensitive material, and being able to like kind of be the one to open up to make that vulnerability like approachable or acceptable in that environment. Once you show the actor that it's a safe place for us to exist, I feel like you end up opening up so many more possibilities. And I don't know if you guys have had that experience in the booth, but I definitely know I have, where it's like, cool, like we just like laid out so much stuff on the table, and like I feel like I have grown closer to these people, and now I feel like either I'm not as embarrassed to do something silly, or like I can really dig deep into my personal emotions and know that the team working with me has my back if I start to like get into a place that's really sensitive or painful or something like that. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing.
It's interesting. I feel like a miracle worker sometimes with some actors where, like, oh, I don't know, every actor responds differently to different types of directing, so you have to change your style per person.
Oh, absolutely.
That's something no one ever told me. So some actors, it's like, oh, you work best after I give you 5 compliments and make you feel all gushy about yourself. Then you go in and we work well together. Things like that. Or some people, we have to talk the first 10 minutes of session for you to be able to relax.
That's good in a 15-minute session.
Yeah, there's some older actors who come in and they want to know every nuance of their character, like they're old theater actors, and like...
And they're doing one like pirate.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, so what's everything going on here? What are my motivations? What is this? What happened to my character? Whatever, and it's like just a small thing, and they want to know everything because they're so used to like the life on stage.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's always interesting, kind of adapting. In general, I feel like it's interesting adapting to actors who are like rather older than me because they just approach voiceover differently than like my contemporaries, and figuring out how to handle that. I feel it's always interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I've only got a couple of minutes left. I saw a hand back there.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna ask a dwelling in the FRANXX question.
Yeah, please.
Whoa!
Yeah,
What? Listen, we're ready.
Yeah, I got you. No, but I know like episode 14, things got like a little heated with like the Ichigo Hiro 02 thing. What was like your guys' aspect of like that, like with fans like outrage and all that kind of stuff like that?
Well,
I didn't really feel like we got that much because, and I addressed this earlier when someone asked a similar question. I feel like by the time it came out dubbed,
it was just like 2 weeks later. So
yeah, like
seen
2 more
15,
episodes
16.
had come out that like helped soothe the pain.
Yeah, true.
I know I left Matt a really funny blooper at the end of that episode, and it was
that we
my
won't
biggest
recite.
compliment.
It's not appropriate,
Yeah,
but it was very funny.
inappropriate blooper.
And sort of makes it hard to watch that scene seriously now.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't. What about you two?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it. Honestly, because I was following, because I loved the show, and I was watching it in Japanese week to week to know what we were going to do. When episode 15 came out, all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just like we thought. Why did you freak out so much? So at that point, 1 week later, a lot of people were okay with it. So like, they weren't really associating us as the dub actors with it too much. But I did see people, because they saw that like Ichigo's Seiyu got
Harassed.
Yeah, got harassed on social media, so people were like, oh, Brittany, are you okay? And it's
Yeah, a lot of people checked in on me.
yeah, and I don't think did you get any?
Like 1 or 2.
Yeah, so like,
Nothing major.
easy enough to ignore.
Yeah.
But you know.
I was on the winning side, so it really didn't affect me much. But it was my first time ever seeing people lash out at actors about things that characters do, which is, you know, like earlier when you called me Mazude, it's like, yes, we're just kidding, but some people don't kid. And
Yeah.
it's like, there's a difference between the actor and the character. I've never seen, I don't know, this Twitterverse gets so mean sometimes, and I don't know if it's that or what, but in all my years, I've never seen people behave that way over a character.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Sound like soap opera fans.
Does anyone
Sorry?
else?
Sound like soap opera fans.
Right?
They can't disassociate the character from the real life person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else have really quick Darling in the FRANXX questions?
Last minute, we've got
Last
literally
minute.
a minute, so quick answers.
Do you have any Darling in the FRANXX quick fun facts? Working on it?
I love it.
Yeah.
Love
What's your favorite
it. Love
episode?
it.
Sorry, what was that?
What's your favorite episode?
15.
I like 14, but I also like some of the stuff I did in 13 a lot.
The one where when they're younger.
13.
Yeah.
That's a
13.
really good one too. I just didn't
So
get
good.
much of that.
So good.
Any other fun Darling facts?
I don't think so.
That was a great show.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What are some things that you nerd out over? Like, what are your obsessions?
I really like Hunter x Hunter.
Okay.
Just great.
That's the first thing.
I really like Gurren
Yu
Lagann.
Hakusho.
That's good. Yu Hakusho's great.
Hakusho.
I was really excited about FRANXX because of Gurren Lagann, because a lot of people have worked on that.
That's like real quick.
Yeah.
There's too much.
Yeah,
There's almost too
yeah,
much.
I know,
It'll take too long.
We have a lot of things that we collect at our house. By we, I mean me.
I love that.
Decorated our house with a lot of things we collect.
I'm really really into Kamen Rider lately, which is not an anime, but it's it's Sentai. Well, it's not. It's, you know, Tokusatsu. It's like Power Rangers, like Super Sentai, that kind of stuff.
What about you, Tia? What did you nerd out about?
I'm pretty cool, I think. I have a secret Tumblr that no one knows about, but I feel like if you ever find a Tumblr that's full of Sonic and creepy dummy stuff and doll stuff and Chucky and Slappy and Disney, and it's probably going to be me.
Please return it to you.
I'm not really shy to admit all the dorky stuff I'm into. Most of it is not anime.
All right, guys, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Understanding now, that is the one Digimon character that has actually been voiced by 3 different actors.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it, were there like, because sometimes in the show, like, it's like, technically it's the same species, but it's a different one, or is it the exact same?
No, it is Beelzemon.
Okay, just
yeah.
Character over.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Beelzemon.
Yeah.
In season 5 and Digimon Fusion.
Okay.
Yeah, in Fusion he looked a bit different, like he had some sort of holy armor or something. Hey, I'm not you should have thought that. Just saying, he looked a bit different.
Yeah.
Well, even then, sometimes if you're going to bring the character back and the actor is available, just first of all, as a duty that we have to you, fans. I don't mean it's not, you know, it's just we should or we're being nice to you. We have a duty